All right, so we had some great interviews once again with some amazing horsewomen. One that's literally just gotten into the industry, and look what she's doing. She's 4'11". Imagine her standing next to a horse, and Ashley as well. I mean, you've got these horsewomen, but again, we've got multi-generational families in this industry. And we had a referral, and I think we've got some women on the line. We've got 3 this time. If I could say the wilder women, literally. I mean, you're all of age. Heather, you were referred. What's going on? It's just an afternoon. I guess after a full day, it's a little bit after 4 o'clock.
Yeah, basically we've just, our day started early, about 5:30. Scarlett's in charge of the farm, feeding and stuff. Mike and I were at the barn. He's racing currently, and Lauren has just gotten home, finishing out her senior year of high school, so her job is the chores tonight, so, so all horses all the time.
Okay, so we've got Heather Wilder. You are a 4th generation on both your mother and father's side, and we've got Scarlett and Lauren. Is that right, or are you 3rd?
Yeah, they're so I'm 3rd, and Scarlett and Lauren are 4th.
Okay.
Generation.
So, on your father's side, it's kind of 4th, and we'll get into that. But first interaction with a Wilder, and I really didn't know much about the Altmeyer family back then, was with your husband Mike. And at the time, I think you had just had Scarlett, if not maybe Lauren as well, if it was 02, 03. So, the question is now, let's start with the Altmeyer, and let's start with your mom's side.
Yes, that's the Rankin side. So that's the Ohio side, the Buckeye side competing against the Pennsylvania side of my dad, which is the Altmeyer side.
So the question is, who had a bigger influence with you growing up, or were you just intertwined on both sides?
I think, intertwined, of course, with both, but the Rankin side, I spent a lot of time with in Ohio and at the family farm, and had a very close relationship with uncles on both sides, with my Uncle Dave and my Uncle Terry Altmeyer and my Uncle Dave Rankin. But I probably spent more hours with the Rankin side, learning and seeing their way of conditioning and developing horses.
So then you basically, emigrated into the Pennsylvania side, which would be the Altmeyer side.
Mm-hmm.
So was it more when you moved to PA and began spending time with Mike? Did you guys start dating?
No, I was living here in Pennsylvania, and I moved to Ohio because I got an internship with public relations for Ann Doolin in the Scioto Downs race office, and I worked for Stacy Cahill as well on the race office side.
So you met Mike in Ohio?
Yes, I went to Ohio.
Oh, I see now. Okay, I'm confused now. Okay, but you're living in Pennsylvania. So then, what made the move? Was the move to Pennsylvania later? Then you guys grew up in Ohio?
No, I grew up in Pennsylvania, and I moved to Ohio for a job after college, and then we moved back together.
Got it. And then you had the girls, and then Mike's career started to take off. He's kind of in that, I'm in the lost generation, so if I could ask, how old is Mike?
He's 49. He just turned 49.
I just turned 50. We're in that lost generation. I've had those conversations with him. It's like, he knows the guys on the Chicago circuit because there's not many of us. Mm-hmm. So, talk about, I guess, him being a driver at that age in the early 2000s and you raising the girls. What was going on back then? And girls, chime in. We've got shots of you guys when you were little. There's one here with one of you with your dad holding a whip over your head. Who's the redhead? That's the question.
That would be me, actually. Everyone thinks that it's Lauren, but that was me very young in Lexington. We used to be able to go because Pap would go down there to buy horses every year and race horses. So we had the opportunity a few times while we were young to go down there and get to spend quite a good bit amount of time with the family down there, watching the horses race, going to sales, going to dinners, and doing that kind of stuff.
Okay, so there's another shot here in the wintertime. Who's on top? Who's on the bottom? Whose colors are you wearing?
So I would be in my dad's colors, and my sister would be in my mom's colors. And that was like our biggest thing we wanted when we were kids. We wanted their colors to be our snowsuits.
I mean, were you switching colors, or would you guys pick sides? Were you just...
They picked sides. Don't let them get you. Scarlett's always been a daddy's girl.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've always had dad's colors and everything. And that first started when I was really, really little. I had them from the time I was probably like 4 or 5 that I would just wear around constantly and never take them off.
But now I've got a shot here with the both of you in one picture. It looks like a Palomino and then some type of a bay horse. You literally both look like twins. We've got a redhead on the left and a bleach blonde on the right. I mean, who's who? What's this pick? How'd you guys place? There's 2 ribbons on one horse, one on the other.
That was the All-American Youth Show. Scarlett was the one with the red horse, and she was wearing the green, and I was on the Palomino wearing the blue, and we both did very well, actually, that day. She was reserve champion in barrel racing and pole bending, and I placed second in barrel racing.
So were you guys involved with, like, FFA growing up? Were you exposed to, like this, to other breeds? Were you doing everything? Were you just doing standardbreds? I mean, what were you guys doing?
We participated in 4-H. We also participated in IBRA. Scarlett definitely went a lot farther and was very successful in her barrel racing. She went to Vegas and competed. But we did a lot of things when we were younger. We did Western Pleasure and English. We did Standardbred, so we have literally seen every type of thing you could do with horses.
Okay, so Heather, I mean, you're the one that's introducing them to everything they've just said, right? So
yes.
Were you doing these things also on the Rankin side or on the Altmeyer side or both? I mean...
Yeah, both. We were very involved. My grandpa Rankin had a very large farm, and he kind of turned us loose. So myself and my sister and my cousins, we had 4-wheelers, and we had tons of horses that we were allowed to do whatever we wanted with. So we could jump on their back, and we could take the 4-wheeler and get lost in the woods all day. And it was a really great life growing up, and I wanted the kids to experience that, but I also learned a lot about that time, hard work and being tough and learning to handle situations on your own. So I think in the beginning, people thought that maybe we were a little too hard on the girls, because I remember once when they would come to the racehorse stable with us and they wanted to jog and they wanted to get the horses ready, and I told them, you can jog when you can get the jog cart down and hook it to the horse.
Wow.
And they stood there. The one time Scarlett stood there for probably 30 minutes, and people kept trying to help her. And I said, if you get help, you don't get to jog the horse. And she finally, after 30, and I know people thought I was the meanest person in the world, but I can tell you this kid can saddle her horse, drive it across the country, paddock multiple horses, she can do everything. And I think that we instilled that in a young age, that if you want to do it, you got to do it yourself.
Exactly. What about this shot? Who is this standing on this? Is this another Palomino or just a white horse with her arms to the side like a diva?
That was our little pony, Sunny Sue. She was, we were still kind of having fun with her, taking her on trail rides, and she got a little bit into barrel racing as well. She's an all-around horse. Everybody could ride her. But that picture was taken up at my grandparents' house, also on the same property as us. And I've always been a daredevil, so I said, hey, take a picture of me, and I stood up on her back. She was totally bomb-proof.
So then, what's this shot here? Somebody sitting on this beautiful, another bay horse. I guess the other one was a chestnut, I apologize. But this bay horse with the 4 white socks, is that at the same place, or is this just in another farm, or?
Yeah, that was actually here in the front yard. I had Mom take pictures of me. I definitely was more into riding the racehorses than Lauren was. but that would be make a success. He was my pap's first world champion at 2. He got his track record at Northfield he had set, and then he set his world record at Poconos. And we ended up getting him back around the age of 11 or 12. And when he came back, we started breaking him to ride. Mom was the first one to break him, and then from then on, we kind of just would take him on trail rides and teach him new things. I actually, at one point, he was one of my barrel horses, I guess you could say. I had trained him. He could pick up the canter, and he knew how to switch his leads. He was actually pretty good at it, and my dad could take him out on trail rides, everything.
So this is a retired Standardbred you guys have at the house.
Yes.
And he's basically he's saddle broken. Wait, so Heather, how many horses do you guys have at the house?
At the house currently there's a retired group of 6. So 5 retired racehorses and Scarlett's retired barrel horse who has just started back competing in what's called Pee-wee classes with another horseman, Emily Hay from Ohio. Her son is now riding Roland.
Colton, I know Colton. Yeah, I did an interview with Emily in the past, and she's tight with Junior, who I go back with Sarah and Junior from Chicago. I mean, it's just amazing how everybody's intertwined, but everybody's kids too. And we talked about Colton with with their daughter. I mean, it's just amazing with the multi-generations. And I mean, girls, all your friends. I mean, how many more friends do you guys have in the industry that are still around at your age? I guess from the track and racing. There's a lot, isn't there? There's a group of you.
I would say there's about 3 or 4 of us,
That's
kind of around our age. I think I'm the oldest out of them.
Really?
But that's just at the Meadows. We have friends everywhere. We have Ohio friends because, we go there every year, especially in the summers. And like you said, we're all intertwined. We've all grown up together. We're like a family.
Okay, so you guys are so close in age, so you're kind of like, twins in a sense, but one looks one way and one looks the other. So let me ask you this. You have the same friends, basically.
Yes,
Okay,
very much so.
How many people, and then what ages would you say, Scarlett, because you're older, would you say from 21 to maybe 17, or maybe Lauren's age, maybe 18 to 22 maybe? Is there a group that you can say on the national level that you guys are all tight and you guys all grew up at the same time on the national circuit? Because your dad would travel. I don't know if you guys would travel with him sometimes. Heather, you might take them with, or I don't know.
Yeah, I took them everywhere, and I think they're kind of struggling to think, because I think that they consider their friends.
Lauren definitely has more friends than me.
Lauren, I would say I have friends that are younger than me, because I talk to everybody. And I definitely have friends that are older than me, maybe 30.
But would you say there's a generation that you can pinpoint, or is it just there's multiple groups and people bounce around? I mean, I'm just trying to figure out the current generation. And talking to Nikki, who's 22, she's out east at the Meds, and she's in the A leagues, if we could say. But Mike goes out to the Meds, and if you guys go out there, you can meet her and say, hey, we were on that video with you. We were at the tail end, in the beginning, and then you might meet Ashley, and then Mary Ann. Then it kind of expands that network, and that's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Trying to get that new demographic, and then using social media, like PR tools. Heather, what are you doing currently as far as PR?
I use social media a lot. The kids use social media. And those young women that you've talked about, we actually have not crossed paths with yet. But I think that when we do, in this sport, I feel like, and the girls will agree, it's very common to walk up and be like, hey, I saw you on Facebook. And I feel like it is very much, like Lauren said, a family, whereas you don't necessarily have to have been introduced or things like that, but you just know people. So I think it's great. And I think PR-wise, the social media aspect is huge. There's different platforms and different things, and it's a great way when everyone says that there's no youth in harness racing, and I understand that that's probably they're talking about fans, a decline in fans, but I can tell you the kids that are involved, the youth of harness racing, even in that 30 and under demographic,
Exactly.
strong. I think it's very strong. they're interested and they're participating.
So, girls, what are you guys using, if I can ask? And I should call you the Wilder Women, but I'm going to say girls. But what are you guys using with social media? Are you using TikTok? Is it working? Is it getting out there? Are you using, Instagram? Are you using, other social platforms besides the typical Facebook, Twitter? What is your demographic? What are you guys using right now to kind of promote the sport yourselves? I mean, you're learning stuff from your mom, seeing what she's doing, and you're doing stuff on your own. Like, you know what I mean? What do you guys do to promote the sport yourselves?
Yeah, I understand what you mean. We definitely do use TikTok. I think I use it for the horses more than Lauren does, just even if it's horses in our stable. And then as well, I use Facebook like everyone does, and then Instagram and Snapchat too. But I definitely have more, I would say, harness racing friends on Facebook than I do anywhere else. But I definitely share from the other platforms onto there too.
Yeah.
I agree with Scarlett on all those social media accounts.
You sound like her attorney. So let's talk about the competition between you guys. We haven't really got into it. So I've got some individual shots now. I think it's the same contest. Maybe not. Maybe the same horse. And again, it looks like a younger version of somebody with the paint. Or is that a Palomino? No, I'm sorry. There's a Palomino, and then is it the same chestnut?
It possibly could be. Yeah, those were our main barrel horses at the time.
Okay, so you both did barrel racing, but Scarlett, you went to Vegas, and that's that shot here, the professional shot that we have here, right?
Well, that professional shot by Chris Gooden, that was down at an arena here near home, but that was only about a month before I left for Vegas.
Gotcha.
We had both competed in barrel racing for a lot of years, but Lauren eventually had gone away from that, decided to go more the sports route, and
she was singing. She did national anthems all over.
Really?
Yeah, racer. She did a Breeders' Crown. Very proud. Oh, and she sang in Ireland too. But she got to do the Breeders' Crown at the Meadowlands and sang both the Canadian and United States national anthem. I thought it was great.
Well, we'll say this. We don't have those pictures. And if you're looking at the pictures now, we got them after the fact. So let's jump into some of these win shots. Some of Mike's bigger things in his career. There's a couple of headshots here. There's this beautiful shot. It looks like it's been touched up with Photoshop. You want to talk about some of his bigger wins, Heather, than some of his current ones with the girls in the pictures?
Yeah, sure. Some of those pictures that they sent in, the one's the Adios, the other one is a Jug Elimination. The girls have always been their dad's biggest fan, and they both, they travel with us, they're watching, they both have, couple different racing network accounts, and sometimes I catch them watching 2 different tracks at a time. They're very into the sport, and competitive-wise, when you want to talk about competitive, I don't know where they got it from, but both girls have been on a roll their entire life, and both girls are now in the medical field, so that gives them a little. Scarlett went to Vegas, but Scarlett's going to be a nurse. Lauren did national anthems all over, but now she's going to go to be the doctor. She's going to go to Penn State and then to med school.
Wait a second, girls. So who's at what, UNLV nursing school?
No, Scarlett was in Vegas riding, but she's now in nursing school.
Okay.
Yeah,
So where are you going to school, Scarlett? Okay, I was just confused there. She said you went to Vegas. Where are you going to school right now, then? Because your sisters are going to start at Penn State. We'll get into that next.
I go to an accelerated program through the Washington Hospital here, and it's a 16-month program. I'll be finished in August of 2022. And
then you'll get like a certificate or a degree, then you can go into the next program then?
No, you're a full RN by the time you graduate.
And then what are your plans after that?
I'm not too sure yet. I don't know if I'll go on to get my bachelor's after that or not. My plan with getting my nursing degree and everything was so that I would still have time for my horses too, because the horses are always going to be number one, but I definitely need a degree, and it's showed me a lot during COVID-19 and everything, how you need to have an essential job, because in this business, all these tracks shut down, and the drivers weren't making any money. The trainers were, blacksmiths, vets, the people that you need to use all the time.
You're absolutely right.
Everyone's always going to need nurses, so I can have nurses and do everything I need to do there. But if something were to happen, or I just decided I wanted more money or anything like that, I would just go right back to the nursing.
Well, you'd have something big to fall back on, and that's something that I was told, actually, coming back on the backside after traveling. Somebody had walked up to me, and this person knows who she is, and she said, Eric, always have something to fall back on. Always have like another, I don't want to say like revenue stream, but have something to fall back on, and that's brilliant. You're doing that. And then Lauren, I guess, did you kind of want to do what Scarlett was doing and continue that competition between you, or was it just a natural to get into it as well?
Kind of. So before freshman year, I wanted to be a marine biologist, but then I really pushed myself because Scarlett was getting better grades than me, and I thought I got to step it up for high school. So I started getting better grades than her, or we'd be going back and forth or be pretty tied up. And my aunt and uncle are both doctors, so they really sparked my interest with caring for people, and I've shadowed them and everything like that, and I just really love the atmosphere. So I'm excited to attend Penn State and start my long journey to becoming a doctor.
So you're going to do everything. It's going to be, you're talking, what are they saying, 13, 14 years?
I'm thinking 11 to 13. It just kind of depends on what I pick. I'm thinking pediatric surgeon right now because I work very with children.
Wow.
But we'll see. We have some time to figure it out.
Wow. That's amazing. And Heather, you're probably so proud, and Mike, too. And I want to give a shout-out to Mike. I've always liked him. We've always had candid conversations. We were around the same age. I guess I'm older than you, man. I'm sorry. But speaking of shout-outs, is there any shout-outs, each of you and anybody wants to give out to anybody in the industry? Heather, we'll start with you, and then girls, if you want to chime in after your mom. Anybody that's helped you guys in the industry to get you, I guess, where you are today?
Oh my gosh, I respect so many women in the industry, and I would not want to single one out, because I have to say some of the people that I absolutely admire and think so much of have become my friends, and I don't want, the girls are fighting. What do they want? What do you want? Say what you have to say.
I want to go first, and I want to say that I give my mom the full credit.
The competitive nature and spirit between the two of you, let alone the three of you.
They're fighting. Since you want to give mom the credit, I'm going to go ahead and give grandma credit.
So it's like just tenacity. I could just feel it. And it's what's great about this is after I finish this, I have to edit it, take all the pictures, and it's 40 pictures. It's a lot of work, and I can't wait to do it. But then you have to write this paragraph, and you're kind of limited for space, especially on LinkedIn. So it's like if I have to do adjectives, just listening to this and just thinking of this offhand, it's just the tenacity, the competitiveness, the grit, just the spirit, and probably just the downright love that you guys have for each other. You can't compete with that. And the bonds that you guys have, even though you hate each other, you still love each other at the end of the day. You rub each other's backs, you scratch each other. That's just the love that you share between the three of you. But I could just see it when the two of you, girls, when you're older, you're just going to look back at this and you're going to laugh, and you're going to have your mom's grandkids, and it's just the tradition is going to continue, and that's the love of the sport that we have, and it's just going to be beautiful to see the children you have and your mom spoiling those kids, and just the legacy continues. So with that, I want to end this episode and really thank the three of you for doing this. This was new to us, doing three people at once, but it just shows, like I said, the love of the sport and just the love that we have, and just for the beauty of the horses. So I want to thank the three of you again, once again.
Thank you. Thank you for having us, Eric.
Yep.